and good morning. Hi, everybody. It's day one of the BWP Summit. I'm so excited. I already see a couple of folks in the chat. I'm so happy y'all are here. Before we get started, I just want to make sure y'all are online posting about this BWP Summit because, like always, we have some goodies for you. Because when you come to BWP events, we always got some goodies for you. So thank you so much to Adobe for sponsoring this event because you could win by using a hashtag BWP Summit on Twitter or your IG stories. You could win the Adobe Creative Cloud, all the apps, complimentary subscriptions for every giveaway, like overall. Or you could win the 1-year Adobe photography plan subscriptions. And you already know we need that. That's Lightroom and that's Photoshop. That's for your desktop, your iPad. Like, who don't need that? So make sure you're tweeting about it. Make sure you're posting it on IG stories. Now let's get into it. Good morning, Ivy. You guys, we have Ivy Awino, BKA DJ Poison Ivy, here with us this morning. I'm so happy to have you here. And you look beautiful. I love this.
Girl, well, thank you. Listen, if it was one thing I was going to do is show up and show out for y'all.
Period.
Period. But no, it's such a pleasure to be here this morning. What's up, y'all? I hope everyone is so excited. Please, let's make this fun. Chrissy and I have all of the energy. We're just going to, have a real conversation, man. Let's just get into like the nitty gritty. You know what I mean? Let's get to know each other well. I'm so excited to support BWP. My great friend Polly, like she can call and I'll drop whatever I'm doing and come.
Yeah, we love you, Polly.
Yeah, I know we love you, girl. Because the work that she has done is so representative of the power of us, right? So today is about us. So, happy to be here.
Lovely. So just to give, in case like a couple people in the chat don't know who you are, which don't know how they couldn't, I want to give a little bio for you. Ivy was born in Kenya and moved to Dallas when she was about 9 years old, and in 2016 became the Dallas Mavericks' first female team DJ in franchise history, the second female DJ in the NBA, and first ever Black woman. I mean, making history just back to back to back. Like, we love to see it. So to get into it, I want to start off with like your love of music. I love music so deeply. And when I heard that this was your job, it was like one of the things where I'm like, I didn't even know that was a job. Like, I know that that's a job, but I don't know, like, how do you get that job and everything like that. So I would love to know a little bit about your journey about finding DJing and then how you get to become Dallas Mavericks' first female DJ.
A DJ for a sports team. No, I mean, we talked a little bit about that offline, right? It was definitely a journey, and I am, we'll talk about this later, but I'm definitely getting ready to make sure that I am not the last first. You know what I mean? I'm making sure that we create this opportunity for women across the board. But I mean, to keep a very long story short, I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, obviously. Grew up a lover of music, played piano. My grandmother bought me a 12-key baby grand piano at the age of 5. I mean, I wanted to be like a pop singer growing up. I might be able to hold a note or two. We might have to have BWP karaoke here in a little while so I can show you. But I mean, I've always loved music, and I've always understood music at a very intimate level, both theoretically but also functionally. And so let's fast forward. I was in orchestra and in high school, and there's a part about high school that I do want to touch on. I was always that kid who tried a little bit of everything, right? And I just like to be around people. I love sports too. Grew up loving sports. My uncles were really, really big NBA fans. So the NBA literally, I was like that kid who was younger than a lot of my uncles and aunts. And so I was like really used as a rebounder and the extra hands to help them play ball. So I grew up loving sports that way. So when I got to high school, I realized I wasn't going anywhere fast playing anything, but I really like to be around the sport. And I really wanted my letter, my varsity letter. And, you could get that by being a team manager. So I was a basketball team manager for my sophomore year on, right? And one of the things that really perturbed me was whenever the girls were shooting around, the gym was really quiet. One of the things that I now know about me that I might not have known then is I'm a problem solver, right? And I just love identifying problems and creating or coming up with very creative solutions. So I was like, Jim was quiet. I was like, all right, I'm gonna fix this. So obviously, I was also the kid in high school who was burning CDs off of Napster and PJ Butter and all of the sites, right? Downloading music, and I would make CDs for like my friends, but I was like, I was cool with it, right? Like I put music in order, and I instructed you to listen in order, and I gave playlists, and so I was doing the whole DJ thing before I even knew it. Um, but that was my introduction into like music for sports. So I just made a warm up CD for the team, right? Didn't think anything of it. So put a pin in that, right? Finished high school, went to college. I went to Marquette University, go Eagles. And that was an incredible opportunity because it was a great basketball school, great sports school. That's not why I went there. I went there because I had a full scholarship, and it was just I visited Milwaukee, right? And I was like, look, I love it. I wanted to go to a school in a college city, get all those feels. So while in college, I picked up DJing. My fraternity brothers were some of the you know biggest DJs in the city at the time. Shout out to Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Obviously, they were like, I was like, look, I just want to learn. You know what I mean? Also because my house has always been the gathering spot, right? Even when I'm not there, my dorm room, my apartments, always somebody there. So I was like, you know what? May as well learn how to DJ, learn how to entertain, DJ my own parties, all the likes, right? At the same time, man, I was doing everything. Remember that little girl who was trying everything in high school that carried along with me to college? So I was working for Marquette Athletics. I was working for the Milwaukee Bucks. I was working for the radio station, like any and everything I could do to help me figure out what I wanted to do in sports and entertainment. I was trying. And no, from a young age, I always knew that I would work in that realm. Did that. And then I was like, all right, cool. So DJing was picking up. I was doing college radio. So I was like getting the local artists, an outlet really, because they had really nowhere else to, promote their music.
Right.
Before you knew it, it went from my living room or my kitchen to like main stages. I was playing Summerfest, you know what I mean? Playing for 20,000 people, opening for Wiz Khalifa. Like it just grew really fast. And I think I spent a good majority of my career, I felt like chasing after my trajectory because I just zoomed so fast. So I learned how to DJ there, honed that musical skill there. Then back to sports, I connected with Skylar Diggins Smith, Skylar Diggins at the time when I was in college. Shout out to the power of women, right? The power of camaraderie, because she gave me my first platform. I DJ'd her basketball camps for a while, for a long time. And then, I think my senior year in college, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Like, well, it really wasn't that. It was like, this is what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to have this baby. And I had her, my labor was induced the day after I graduated from college.
Wow.
No, y'all, when I tell y'all that, like, my daughter, I knew she was going to listen. So I used to talk to my stomach and tell her, hey, just let mommy finish school. And she did. So I did that. But I also was like, you know what? I love DJing so much. And it gave me the autonomy to work whenever I wanted to and be a mother, right? So I said I was going to take my first year to just chill, raise her, and figure things out. At that time, I got an opportunity to audition to be the Milwaukee Bucks DJ. Long story short, I didn't land it then, but I moved to Dallas. And remember the connection I made with Skylar Diggins Smith? Well, the Tulsa Shock had moved to Dallas and become the Dallas Wings. So obviously, I reconnected with Sky. And through that relationship, I became the Dallas Wings DJ. And honestly, I'd never really thought about being a DJ for a sports team. I've always been the kind of girl who's like, how do I find a creative way to use my talents in a way that's not used before? So I've done radio, I've done parties, I've done concerts. So when the opportunity came to program music for a sports team, I was like, a way to merge my two loves. Wonderful, right?
Right.
The audition was crazy. They legitimately lowered the center hung, like the Jumbotron, brought it down, and they played a silent game, and they were like, score it. And what did I do? I went and found the sound pack from NBA 2K, and that's what I used, right? And that's how I learned. Like there was no book, there's no manual, there's nothing that exists to teach you these things. I DM'd every DJ in the NBA. Shout out to Ro Parrish, who responded, a great friend of mine until now. So I did that for the Dallas Wings for a season. And then again, y'all, it's so important the company you keep around you, because I had another friend who I grew up with, who when I moved back to Dallas, he was like, yo, reach back out to the Mavs and see, if they have an opportunity. So I missed this little tidbit. In growing up, I was actually a Mavs ball girl for 6 years. So I grew up in that building. Like I was one of those kids who like wiped the floor and rebounded for the
Yeah.
players. Missed that little part of the story. And this is what makes it so cool, is because when I reached back out to somebody who, when I was a ball girl, was a PR intern at the time. She was a CMO. And I was like, yo, I'm just reaching out to see if you guys have an opportunity for me. I'm a DJ. I'd love to work with you all in some capacity. They didn't at the time, but y'all, if nothing else, always reach out so that you're top of mind, because that summer their DJ resigned and they reached out to me. And I went in, and I think that was the interview. I knew that was my job, because it was the interview I felt the most prepared for by life. Right. Because when I walked in, they were like, well, why should we hire you? And I showed them that picture of me as a ball kid. And I was like, I know how this building sounds like. I've been in this building my whole entire life. Like I was pretty much raised for this, and I felt so powerful in claiming that and saying that. And that was 8 years ago, y'all. It's been 8 years. I had no idea. I was their first ever female DJ. I had no idea that there was only one before, the Detroit Pistons before me. I had no idea. All I was chasing after was a way to do what I loved, a way to earn an income, and a way to provide for my daughter, in a way that wouldn't take me away from home that much. I was just trying to do the next best thing. And so here we are 8 years later, a Forbes under 30 later, 5 NBA All-Star games later, getting a chance to work with NBA Africa, BAL. I had 5 goals when I first started. One was to make it through season 1. Here we are in season 8. 2 was to, work with the league in some capacity. I've become a great friend and partner of the league and NBA entertainment. 3, my passion for the continent was to use this as a segue to work with like NBA Africa, BAL, all the likes. 4 was to work with Team USA and FIBA. COVID kind of put a pin in that, but we'll come back to that. 5 was to win a championship. That I obviously have little to no control over, but I can always create a championship environment in what I do. So music was great. And then now I've evolved into our in-arena host, but y'all, it's just about finding things and trying new things. If you like it, you like it. If you love it, you love it. If you don't, hey, you tried. So that was a Cliff Notes version of that journey.
It's so funny how we can squeeze 10 years into like 3 minutes worth of conversation, because that time you put in a lot of work and like literally carved out a lane for yourself. And it's so funny because that I'm speaking to you right now, I hear the tone of a host from the arena, and I feel like I'm behind the scenes a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, like, do it again.
You're so funny. Girl, I got my arena host voice on. Yeah, you telling me I have a real life arena life? Man, that's funny.
That's hilarious. But considering that, like, that's a lot of work over 8 years, like, that you really put in. And speaking about like how in the middle of that, really, and at the beginning of some of those goals is when you had your daughter. Do you mind sharing your daughter's name?
Oh no, absolutely not. Yeah, that's my whole heart. I do not mind sharing her. Her name is Kiani. But we call her
Kiani. That's a gorgeous name too.
Thank you.
So you had Kiani in the middle of all of it, and I'm wondering, like, how do you maintain, especially like how that looks different now versus like the methods that you had then?
Yeah. That's the center of my world. My world revolves around her. That's how I maintain. So every decision that I made from the time I knew that she was coming to now, she is the epicenter of my world. I mean, I'm right there with her in my world too, but you get what I'm saying. And so, I think that the man, to whom much is given, much is expected. I think that the blessing of being a mother, and I say that whether it's by natural birth or just by, assignment, really, is a blessing. So I never ever looked at it as, dang, you know what I mean? Like, I think that a lot of people think that there was a disposition where it's like, okay, my life has to pivot and all of that. I'm like, no, I now have actual reason to go for more what I wanted, because I have somebody who's looking up to me, Granted, when she was younger, man, bless that baby's heart. I always say, when I have more children, you know how your parents tell you they don't have a favorite? It's not about favorites, but I know for a fact that her and I will always have a different relationship because she's literally grown up with me. You know what I mean? When I just never shied away from bring her into my world. She's been coming to gigs with me since she was little. I mean, I used to put her in car seats and put her under the DJ table. Sometimes you wouldn't even know she was there. Like she was asleep, faced her away from the speakers. I'm just really grateful to the people, my clients, friends and family who've never looked at me like, giving me the side eye when I brought her to work. I'm obviously in the correct environments, right?
Right.
I did go through a split like from her father when she was 2. So I had to move. I moved back home, and thank God for my support system. My mother is a saint. My whole entire family, my grandmother, my aunt, uncle, my cousins, my younger brother. My best friend is actually in the room next door. Thank God for her as well. That's my daughter's godmother. Who, by the way, Yanni graduates from 4th grade today, so hence the whole family, gathering from her. But I think I've maintained a level of honesty with her, right? And I also manage expectations. But I realized she used to call me DJ Mommy when when she was little.
That's too cute.
I swear, I used to laugh because I'm like, DJ is a prefix. It should be Mommy DJ. You know what I mean?
Right. True.
But I don't know, man. I just think that I continue to keep her as close to me as possible. I continue to help redefine the landscape of what it looks like to be a working mother, you know, and I do that by example. I don't hide her, I share her. It's sometimes difficult because in this crazy world where you're like, oh man, I don't know if I should be doing this or not. I do think that we go through things for others, not ourselves. So I want other women to see me do what looks like the impossible so that we can just like go ahead and demolish that. You know what I mean? If we think about what childbirth is in itself, by the time you've done that, you really can't tell me I can't do shit else. You know what I'm saying? Like I legitimately pushed out a human being from an orifice in my body. So please tell me what I can't do. You know what I mean? So
Literally.
keep it real, man. Keep it real with the kids. I think there's no reason to lie, sugarcoat. And also, like, if I teach her the game now, like, cut her learning time in half. You know. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so real. I love that you even mentioned that your mindset was different from the beginning, because I do think it influences the type of experience that you have. Like you not having the mindset that like, oh, this is going to change everything, and instead being like, well, I'm gonna just go harder. I think is a testament to like why your relationship is so beautiful with your daughter, why she probably has watched you grow and like held on to so much, which I'm sure are like beautiful gems you've given her. So speaking of which, I want to go like a little more in depth to that. Like you were like, that you brought her into your games and like while you were working, can you give us an example of like what mothering looks like when you're literally bringing your kid to work and you have to DJ or host at an arena?
Mothering looks like I like okay, so I don't tell her she can't come to work because she actually expects to come. She thinks she's my like assistant. You know what I mean?
She the sous chef.
Right. That's not, but so like let's talk Mavs game. So, I have to make sure my mom always said your kid can't look crazy. You can't look fresh and your kid can't look, you know what I'm saying? So like I legitimately I help her or have her. She works with my team, right? She works with my style team. She works with, whoever's around me, my creators, all of that, pick out her outfits. Like you've seen, she got old enough to start doing tunnel walks with me, like helping her own build her own identity and build her own brand. But I don't really try to like push me on her. And it can be a thing, like try to let her discover herself. She's coming to work with me. She'll now mic me up. She'll be like, she'll get my scripts, my cards. She'll be like, mommy here. She'll hold them for me. The building like is amazing. Like they know her really well. She's old enough now to where she can kind of maneuver on her own. But it also looks like I'm pulling her to come take a picture with Cheryl Swoops and she's throwing an attitude. And then Cheryl Swoops had to check her. And I'm just like, ooh. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But I mean, I try to not also let it get to her in a sense that she's living in a very fast world, right? She's living in a world where she has access to everybody's favorite anything, but she's 10. You know what I mean? So I try to teach her like what I'm there to do. I try to teach her how mommy's gonna do better than she did last time the game before. It's a little hard sometimes. Sometimes I'm out late. You know what I mean? Sometimes she's like, "Mommy, I want to leave right now." You know what I mean? "Mommy, I'm tired. Mommy, I'm this. Mommy, I'm hungry." Like, it's like I'm about to run on the floor and do a hit, but I'm, you know what I mean? I'm like looking to see, like, it can be a lot at times, and there are times where I do feel bad because she's there, but I'm not, and I'm there, but I'm not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to remind myself to be present when I need to, especially when I'm addressing her, but I also have to remind her that mommy's at work. You know what I mean? When it comes to certain gigs, you know, I travel with her the best I can. I think that's the one thing that I really try my best to do is show her the world. I think for me, I had the best opportunities in growing because I got to see the world very young. So I try to bring her along the best I can, but also sometimes it looks like telling her she can't. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
sometimes it looks like you cannot come in this environment, or this is a mommy and friends trip. Like mommy has her own life as well, because she's with me all the time, right? So when she doesn't get to be around me, she throws fits, right? Because she's like, "Well, I don't get to come." So it's also about, you know, curbing a sense of entitlement, right? It's also about teaching her her own responsibilities. Like we have green light, you know, um, I use green light, you know, the card system or whatever have you. So I pay her for helping me, like, right? I compensate her and I teach her, like, look, this is how you earn a living, right? But I also teach her that she can really make a career out of whatever she wants to do, right? I'm so blessed to have, again, like she gets to meet so many people. And I'm always like, ask questions. I'm encouraging her to learn. I'm encouraging her to connect. I'm encouraging her to network at 10. Because why not? You know?
Exactly.
So yeah, it looks like everything across the spectrum.
And with all of that, you're teaching her so much confidence at an early age. And I think even like teaching her how to assert herself in these environments. And how old is she?
She's 10.
10. At 10, it's like she's already in an environment that the average kid wouldn't grow up in. And I think that's beautiful. It's great. It's like you're introducing her to so much. Um, so I'm interested in, like, we're talking about career paths.
Mhm.
Do you have a career in mind where you're like, oh, I want to support you in this way, like specifically to become a creative? Or are you just like, whichever way you want to go, like, let's do it?
For her,
Yeah, for her.
it's scary because, man, I I think that it's very scary. It's very easy to want to push. I'm gonna be honest, like it's very easy to, because right now I can show you, like on her board in her room, she wrote down like some goals because I teach her a lot about, you know, manifesting, writing down, planning, strategizing.
Yeah.
So right now she's like in her acting phase, right? She wants to be an actress. She wants to Zendaya and Emma Watson and all
Yeah.
of those, right? So it's about teaching her ethic. It's it. My only rule is we're gonna do any and everything you want. But what we start, we have to finish. Um, I do think that kids deserve to be kids. I'm that parent. I'm that parent
Yeah.
who just, you know, so I waver. As you can tell, I waver. She's also really, really athletic, you know. So she's playing lacrosse, she's playing basketball, she's playing soccer, she's doing all of the things, but she also loves to cook. You know what I mean? So I try to keep things fun. I think that, you know, I do not want her to burn out. Like as an adult, I'm understanding what burnout is, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I cannot imagine starting this at 10. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's just giving her, like, for example, she wrote those goals on her board. And then the other day we filmed a Dallas Wings promo, and I was like, see what happens, like when you say certain things, right? So I think for me right now, it's just about instilling good habits. Because no matter what she does in life, um, she's gonna have to work hard. She's gonna have to learn how to take care of herself. She's gonna have to learn how to like take care of her body and her mind. Like for me, I think she will succeed at whatever it is that she wants to do. I have no doubt in my mind. I pray over her every single day that God's purpose and will precede all of our wants and wishes. But I think my goal as a mom is to make sure that she has it. And I'm learning this now, is she learns to take care of her, as in
Mhm.
she doesn't want to live a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I don't like it when people are like, oh my God, you're going to be just like your mom. I actually just flat out tell people, like, don't do that. She's not.
Mhm.
You know, she's not me. She's not little me. She's not DJ Minnie. None of that. Like she's Kiani Rose, Latina McBroom. You know, and I just again want to raise a daughter, raise a girl who is so confident in herself
Mhm.
that that's all she needs. That's all we need as women, as young girls. All we need is confidence, and everything else will follow.
That's so true. I feel like you have all the perfect gems for her. This is so beautiful. And in particular, I want to touch back to something you said a little while ago where you're like, she is my world, but I'm in that world. And it feels like a reminder of you being like, I have to take care of myself too. And then you're teaching her that.
Yeah.
So
You know
can you
what's
share?
scary, Chrissy? My bad, not to cut you off. I told somebody this the other day, just 'cause it piggybacks on that. I was like, yo, when you have children, it's like having a mirror held up to you all the time.
Ooh,
And
I
it was
believe.
when I realized that my life changed for the better. And it's been like an evolution most so this year and last year. But my life changed when I realized that my daughter looked up to me. And you would think I would know that, right? But like when she started to verbalize and when she starts to say things, and I'm like, holy shit. Like,
That's so real.
hold up. You know what I mean? Sorry to do that. To be honest, like even with my hair, I wear my hair the way I do now because my daughter's going through this phase where she's at predominantly white institution, you
Mm,
know, or school. The first day of pre-K, she went to school and she was like, "Mommy, I want to wear my hair like the other girls." And I didn't realize what she meant. She wanted a bow in her hair, but she wanted her hair straight so she could wear the bow like the other girls. And that year, I made her wear her afro all year, right?
there you go.
Now I can't stop her from wearing an afro, but her hair is this big, right? So I'm just like, girl, let's do
That's
this
gonna take
transformation.
hours.
Right. Let's do a little something. But I'm like, how can I tell her she's beautiful all the time, all the time, all the time with her natural hair? But mommy won't leave the house without a 32-inch, middle part bust down, like, you know what I'm saying? And no knock with that, right? No knock. What I gotta teach her is mommy can do this and mommy can do this too. And mommy doesn't feel more beautiful when she does this than when mommy does this too. You see what I'm saying? It's like
That part.
the kids don't listen to what you tell them. They watch what you do, you know?
That's so real.
Yeah.
And it makes complete sense. I know you were like, I don't know, I think this sounds crazy, but I went through a similar thing. I don't have any kids, but I have a sister who's much younger than me. And in my 20s, like my dad all the time would be like, she's watching you. She's really watching you. I'm like, I don't see it. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
I said
And
in
then
my 20s, girl.
right, and then oh. Thank you so much. So when it finally clicked for me and I started to witness similar to how you're saying, where I'm like, oh, if I wear my hair like this, 2 days later, she's wearing her hair like little things like that. And it made me realize that whether I signed up for it or not, I am a role model. And because I love her, I need to treat myself well so that she sees how to take care of yourself, how to love yourself. And then she's doing that earlier than when I recognized it, kind of thing. And I feel like that's the ecosystem, back to like, shout out the power of women. Like that's the ecosystem that we always build for ourselves. And I can say proudly and confidently that I witnessed that in my mom and my friends and other women in my community where I was like, where I think now though, I feel like it's being vocalized more, which is also what I'm hearing from you, where it's like, okay, I'm going to do it because you're not always going to listen to me. You're going to see what I'm doing and then copy me. But I also need to tell you, like, you're beautiful, you're loved, I love you, your grandma love you, your daddy love you, like, et cetera, et cetera. And then they need to hear that. Like Kiani needed to hear that when she had an afro and when she had her straight hair. You know what I mean? Like when she wore this kind of outfit and that kind of outfit. So I'm curious, how does that look for you when it's just about Ivy and not about like who you are for Kiani or anybody else in your life for that matter?
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm discovering that for myself right now. I've lived a life of being a people pleaser and this and this, and then I'm doing what we call the work. You know what I mean? And I'm realizing that honestly, I don't think I've ever really like just lived for me. You know, without wanting to seek approval or get any kind of affirmation or recognition from mom, from family, from school, and even from work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a good part of my identity for a long time, I just realized I was like, man, my identity cannot revolve around what I do. Like what I do is not who I am. But when I realized that, I had to ask myself, like, well, who am I? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, let's go find that. You know what I mean? And who
Yeah.
I, because also what I do is I am Kiani's mom. That's who I am, but that's not someone what I do. So like, who am I? You know what I mean? And so I'm discovering that now, and I'm discovering that you know what, like, okay, I am, I am a woman. I am, I like this. I am strong. I am beautiful. I am a lover of adventure. Like I'm sitting still for the first time in a very long time. You know what I mean? I've been on a go for so long, but I'm shutting it down to really kind of answer that question. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do is be able to take like, my community on that journey with me because for a second I was also embarrassed about me like having to find that. But now I can understand when I've heard women um talk about finding themselves. It's so easy to lose yourself. And we're nurturers, we're givers, we're caretakers, we're this. But I'm doing that to me now. You know what I mean? So I'm spending time back in the gym. Even in the gym. Like I don't work out with my phone anymore. I want to feel my body. You know what I mean? Like I want to really, really get in touch with who I am. You know what I mean? That means what I believe in. That means, what I support. That also means what, like, who and when, what am I trying to impact through my life and through how I live my life? Again, spiritual, physical, mental, emotional. So my answer to that question is honestly, I'm on that journey right now. You know what I mean? It's like my mother's so young. I had her at 22, and at 20, so 22 to I'm about to be 33 in 10 in 8 9 days. I've
Oh,
spent.
yay. Happy early.
Thank you. I've
Yeah.
spent just like making it. You know what I mean? Making it.
Mm-hmm.
First it was paying bills, then it was just making it, then it was moving, then it was, a life disruption. It was, a separation, and it was this and it was that. It was always been something. But right now it's the season of me, and I'm excited to see what comes of that. And I think the first biggest indicator of that was like when I switched my Instagram handle from Poison Ivy the DJ to Ivy Awino. And I
Amazing.
hope, because even that I was like, nobody even knows that my DJ moniker has my real name in it. You know what I mean? And that to me, like, it started to feel weird in my soul. It started to
Mhm.
feel like I was responding to somebody who I really wasn't. So the first step is embracing me, embracing my name, embracing my body, embracing my look, and aligning that publicly so I don't have to be two different people.
Yes. I love that. It definitely sounds like you're reconnecting with yourself while also like learning your new self.
Yes.
Um, and I love that you honest and you just like, I'm still in this process right now. And I think in part of that's what life is always going to be. There's going to be different versions of us as we grow, and we're going to leave behind old versions that don't serve us anymore.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm going to pull up your IG since you mentioned it so folks can really see like Ivy be everywhere all the time.
Outside.
But while we go through that, I would love to know about Ivy today. Like whether
Yeah.
that's in this moment or this season, like how are you feeling today about where you are, the job that you're doing, literally from like balancing your career to balancing motherhood to balancing personal life?
I'm so I'm happy. Um, I'm
Yes.
getting too happy. You know what I mean? I'm also okay with the imperfect. I'm okay with the unknown, right? Like um I'm okay with everything that I am and everything that I'm not, right? I
Mm-hmm.
say not as in some things I never will be, some things I don't want to be anymore. You know what I mean? And some things are just a not yet, right? I'm okay with God's timing. You know what I mean? I am really okay with God's timing and learning to be okay with God's timing. Because I think about all the things that I could have had and might have had too early. I think about how everything in, I'm good, man. And today of all days, you know what I mean? Like I said, my sister, in poly, just like I was just so inspired by her activism, but really just more so advocating for herself. You know what I mean? And others like her. And look what fruit came of that. So I'm just inspired, man. More than anything, I'm just really, really, really inspired. And I'm excited about all of the things that are to come.
Beautiful. I think
Yeah,
that's a perfect spot to open up some questions from the chat because they've been flying off this whole time we've been talking.
they so
Um,
have.
and we had some people like telling you how empowered they feel, how inspired they feel, and I love that. So I want to make
I
sure we
love
should.
it. Listen, I'm gonna because I feel like okay, Nadina, what's up? Hey, Brianna, Lakita.
Nadina started from the top too. We see you,
Right, I
Nadina.
had to scroll all the way up. Like McGreek and Lakita, Phyllis. I want to know
Um,
where y'all are here from too. Like, tell us where you're.
yes, please drop that in the chat.
You know,
I want to do Joanna Davis because we do need to know this. Who are your fashion influencers? Because the fits be the point. Let me log into my IG. I thought I was logged in already,
are
y'all.
you girl? My fashion. You know what's crazy? I pull inspo from everywhere. I pull inspo from people like men. I wear a lot of men's clothes. Like
Me too.
I
I love
like,
this.
like I really think that like I love Lupita a lot. You know what I mean? That's my girl. I just love how adventurous she is. I love Issa Rae. But y'all, I'm sorry, the fashion is everywhere. Like I love a lot of athletes. You know, I work in a sports space, so naturally that. Um, really, I'm my own fashion influencer. I feel like,
Okay.
I mean, on a real, like on a cool, I just feel like I'm my own muse. You know what I mean? But I just also really love putting people on. Right? I love wearing undiscovered brands. I love supporting independent brands. I'm that person who, if you send me something, I'll find a way to wear it. I just love using my platform to help advance like the dreams of those who are, parallel with me. You ain't got to be up here. I think sometimes lateral networking, is really, really important. So I love the local designers. I put on for Dallas a lot. So yeah, the gram and Pinterest.
I was just about to ask, are you a Pinterest girly?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, 1,000%, 1,000%.
okay, we have someone else. Oh, the chat jumped 1 second.
Let me see.
Um,
Somebody asked me a question that I wanted to answer a little bit. I think it was a question about photographers. If you don't mind, I think it was
yeah.
Joanna who said, "Do you still do photography, and what does that look like?" It's funny. I have two photos right there that I shot of. I'll see if we can do it real quick. But I shot of my mother and my grandmother. Um, they're hanging right here. In my
Oh,
home.
that's gorgeous.
Yeah. I'm as you can see, this is Zach. Zach is one of the creators I work with, but I feel like
Mhm.
I work with a lot of different people because I'm so particular about the camera, right, and what it captures. And somebody once told me, if you want to know how somebody feels about you, have them take a picture of you. And I never forgot that, you know. So I do it. And the creators I work with probably hate me because I'm always like, do this and do that and do that. Like I'm like my own creative director, you know. But it's definitely very much an outlet for me. And in this world, God bless photographers. Especially Black women photographers. This bless us because the demand is high, but also I really want people to tap into the essence of like what it takes for somebody to be behind a lens, you know what I mean, all that time and create for you. So I love it. I think photography will forever be one of my favorite, artistic, outlets and elements. So
Megan something said she saw you at the Mavs game in January and was like, "Who is that? She's live."
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think Lakita talked about how do I deal with the pressure of industry standards and staying true to my voice and my vision. I've succumbed. I'm human, right? Like there are times where I'm like, man, like, am I to this? Am I to that? Or, especially with Black women, like colorism and I've been on this fitness journey. I've like been, as you can see, across the spectrum in terms of like my weight and my size and my this. And I'm just like, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, like I I can't sacrifice my mental, you know what I mean, for anyone or for anything. And I think the best way that I could take care of myself is to make sure I'm healthy. And then I define what healthy looks like to me. You know what I mean? And what happy looks like to me. And I unfortunately, yeah, I don't want to sit here and lie and act like, there aren't things in this industry that I feel like, maybe I'd have been considered for this opportunity if I was more this or more that or the likes. But I think the way to combat that is just like I have a platform called YKTV 365, and it's like the voice. It's to stay true to that voice. And when people will see you, they'll know who the voice is, right? They'll know what the vibe is, right? Because you have set that tone, right? You have kind of like, there's a consistency across who I am. And it's not like when this is trendy, I'm that. And when this is trendy, I'm that. Like I am my trend. I am the trend. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, I love this video of you hosting right here. It's such an inspiration for real, because I feel like even the image we all probably have in our head of a host of something like an arena is like the boxer guy, which is an old white guy, gray hair. He pulls down the mic, and it's like, oh, cool, he has a great voice or whatever. But I didn't think twice about even if like I could be in that position, or if somebody like me could be in that position. So I particularly really love this video, and you looking like yourself. That's one of the biggest things for me. I think when I look about how you are as representation, you clearly aren't trying to fit yourself into the job. The job is just a part of you. It's like, I'm going to look how I look. I do a good job, and that's why y'all hired me. So I'm gonna be fly while I do it, and I'm gonna be me while I do it, and I love it. I love
Don't
it.
make me cry. That is so real. Thank you. And you know what? I tell somebody. I told somebody the other day. Like yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I flirted with how long I want to do this, and there's so many things about. Thank you so much. There's so many things that are hard right now for me career wise in this transition. But I remember, and I will share this too. Like I've gotten a lot of DMs from fathers, parents who are like, yo, we brought our kid to the game and they saw you and they were just like, think about like the Halle Bailey effect with Little Mermaid. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it kind of like still shocks me. They're like, yeah, well, we didn't, we see a darker skin, thicker black woman, this, that. And it's like the fact that people are so in tune with certain opportunities only being available to certain people, or not necessarily only being available, but predominantly being filled by people who look a certain kind of way is jarring. You know what I mean? But I think I will say, shout out to the space that's changing. You're seeing people like, LaChina, Jamel, like Monica, like there's so many personalities, and especially in the sports space, right? Who are like, look, I'm gonna go on TV. I'm a bald headed girl. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm gonna wear my braids. I don't care. Like I'm gonna be fly. I'm gonna wear colored suits. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be vibrant. I'm not gonna be afraid to stand out, right? I'm gonna fill the space. And that's one thing I'm really understanding and taking very personally right now is how to take up space. Like I now understand why that's important. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily taking it up too, but it's expanding it. So when you take it up, you expand, right? So that the definition and ideology around certain things changes. I used to think of that definition differently, but so I'm just a lot more intentional than I ever have been, as guided by, life.
Yeah. And I think that kind of answers a little bit of what Lakita Costner just said in the chat. How do you deal with the pressure of industry standards and staying true to your voice and vision? Could you talk a little bit more of those early days that you kind of mentioned where you were like, how does this really fit?
Yeah. I mean, even down to my voice, y'all. Like coming like when I started hosting, I would yell a lot because that's what I like. I would, I come from radio. So, as a radio host, like you're projecting, you're this, you're that. But it's like you have a microphone in your hand, Ivy. Trust the microphone. Like that's what it does. You just gotta talk like this, and they have it in the PA system, and so not wanting to try to sound like someone or be like someone. And it's not that you're even sometimes aware of it. It's just it's subliminal. That's how crazy like it's gotten to the subconscious, right? But also, things like, all right, when I first started DJing in the arena, I was like, okay, well, this is great, but can we start mixing up the music? So like I'm, if not the pioneer of like playing Afro beats in this space, and African music in this space. Like I can you know, I was in the salon yesterday getting my hair done, and I'm on 97.9 KK or KBFB in Dallas right now, but I've also worked for the other station. But like in 2014, 15, I was fighting for like African artists to get any kind of anything, you know what I mean? And Rema is calm down, comes down, and comes on the radio, and I'm like, dang, like, so I think that music is a way to increase representation. I think that in sport, and sports a huge production, but representation can be achieved in so many different ways. So like even, and it's not even just like, we have Luca, we have had plenty of players who come from like the Balkan region. So like
Yeah.
I started to look up like, well, what does Balkan music sound like? Serbian rap. Like what does Luca like to listen to? Like I'm a big advocate for just making room. You know what I mean? I'm like, if I'm there, I'm about to, I'm the definition of like kicking the door down. You know what I mean? And being like, all right, y'all, come on. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's how I really like try to use my authenticity or as an asset, right? And really just like continue to not widen the space, y'all. Just widen the space. That's it.
Honestly, that's a bar right there. Use your authenticity as an asset. Like, don't worry about trying to fit yourself into something. Be yourself. And I know it sounds so corny because like people be saying it all the time, but truly being as authentic as you can just really kicks that door down.
Yeah. But you gotta break up with fear too.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
You gotta break up with fear just because, and y'all, like, it's not a bad thing to be scared. And I don't like it when people kind of like, ooh, fear. Nah, that just means you're human. You know what I mean? That just means you're in touch. Like, that's actually a way to like protect yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But you have to understand that, like, what is it like? False evidence or something, whatever. It's not real. Whatever you're scared of, it's not real. It hasn't actually actualized. You know what I mean? And it won't actualize until you try, right? So, I'm in the space of just trying to get out of my head with it. I think sometimes too, as women, as Black women too, we carry so much. We, in the sense that with every decision is like 17 questions, right? Like, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? And that's heavy. And we have to acknowledge that, right? But what if we just said F it? Being real, you know what I mean? What if you just said, you know what? No what ifs. And then go, right? So break up with fear and then just take your first step and then your second step and then keep stepping,
That part. So I really want to know, what doors are you kicking down right now? Because I feel like we got something coming.
Child. Okay. So the doors that I'm kicking down right now is I told you, I'm starting to understand the power of what I do. Sport is growing, not just basketball. Sport is growing. And I'm able to make a living doing what I do. I would be so happy to see that be the truth for other people. You know what I mean? So I decided to launch a self-named agency, the Ivy Awino agency. And right now it is just very much a boutique creative services and consulting agency, specializing like at the intersection of culture and, right? I leave it and because you can fill in the blank: culture and sport, fashion, music, and the like. My first client is the Dallas Wings. It's crazy how life like just cycles and circles, right? Yeah, and so just I'm helping the organization understand how to utilize, you know what I mean, culture, right, as a lifestyle and entertainment marketing tool. A lot of what I do and a lot of the experience that I have as a personality and even with the Mavericks, like, yes, while I was in charge of music and now I'm in arena hosting, I'm also very much like a face and a voice and an ambassador. This year I've been able to legitimately pull in the whole city. Badu, the Queen, bless us with her presence at a game. I realized that there's a lot of leverage that I have with my relationship equity, but I think a lot of times companies and brands and personalities and influencers don't know the most authentic way to leverage those relationships, right? That's where I kind of come in and help curate and create that. So really, really excited about that. And I'm also just keeping an open mind. Cause I don't know where this will go, y'all. I'm being honest, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think of like the Steve Stouts of the world, and I think about there are a lot of people who have been able to create a blueprint out of just being who they are, and I'm a connector by nature, right? And I get a lot of fulfillment from connecting. So right now I'm doing a lot of connecting. And in some instances it'll be between industries and brands and people, and but in another instance, and it might be between like the diaspora, right? Like the Black diaspora, the greater Black diaspora. Like I said, I really, really have a big place in my heart for the continent,
Mm-hmm.
specifically growing the creative economy there. You know, I think that the youth there are so, man, they're so dynamic, they're so creative, they're so um, eager and thirsty for opportunity. But I don't want us to always have to leave. You know, um, and so I'm be the example, and I'll start doing more and going back. And I've been going back for a while, but now I'm being like for real, going back to build, right? To build the very same things that have given to me. I always said that if I could do life perfectly, I would walk my life backwards. And what I mean by that is I would go to every community, every organization, every space that helped pour into me and create the me that I am now, and give back a little bit of what I know now and a little bit of what I have now. So a lot of that looks like, um, I've been fortunate enough to work with like the BAL and NBA Africa and the likes. Maybe someday I might start my own league in Africa. I don't know.
What? Let's speak it.
I really, really do believe in the power of sport. And sport is an art too. I think sometimes it gets excluded from the art conversation, right?
Mhm.
But anything that we do, photography, sport, music, fashion, design, science, AI, technology, all of these things are creative, right? And I just want to be able to be a part of the forefront of leading that charge, and really helping grow that economy on the continent, specifically like in East Africa. So yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Really quickly, Monica McGee said, "Do you have any tips on how to put yourself out there for people or companies to notice you?" I wanted to bring that one up because at this point in your career, you are noticed,
Mhm,
right? You still
mhm,
have to do the connecting. You still have to like continue to get noticed more, but like the types of accolades you carry precede you.
mhm,
Where it's like, oh, that's Ivy, we know.
mhm.
But how were you brave enough? How did you push past fear? How did you create a better relationship with your fear? Maybe in those early stages
Yeah.
to get out there and talk to people and connect.
Yeah. Uh Go after exactly what you want. And you might not necessarily have, you know, I think we all have a starting point. I think we all know, like, I want to do X. I always start off by saying, well, who's either the best person I know that does X, or the closest person to me or thing or whatever that does X? And then reach out. I mean, you got to knock on doors. Like, that has never changed. Right now, the world is easy because the doors are proverbial in that you can slide in the DMs. I can't tell you how many times I've built a relationship off of LinkedIn DMs, Insta DMs, Twitter DMs, whatever. But it's also just about being honest, man. You have to ask for what you want. Right
Mhm.
now, I'm meeting with mentors and people, and I'm starting off by saying, this is where I want to go and this is what I want to do, but I have no idea where to start. You know what I mean? It's okay to lay that honesty foundation, because if I think sometimes we always feel like we have to show up already done,
Mhm.
or with the perfect resume, or with the perfect press kit, or with the this or with the that. Show up as you. Show up with what you have, right? And then work to like take the feedback and incorporate it and then do it again. Take the feedback and incorporate it and do it again. You know what I mean? um don't be afraid to ask. Closed mouths really don't get fed. People aren't in the business of reading minds, especially right now in the busiest world that we live in. But also, uh create a strategy and create some timelines and create, like, some, hold yourself accountable, right? You're really the driver of you know what I mean? And I understand that looks different for different people, but just say, like, okay, today it's discipline. What I realized about where I want to go next and how I'm going to get there. And one of my friends asked me the other day, they're like, what can I pray for you for? And I said,
Mhm.
pray for me for discipline, for consistency in my discipline, and discipline in my consistency.
Come on, a word.
You know, that's what's going to move the needle, because you can't stop. You can't give up. You can slow down.
You can slow down.
You can pause. You can change course. You can
Mm.
360 if you want to. You know what I mean? But you just can't stop. You have to stay consistent and you have to stay disciplined. And then at the heart of that, honor you, honor you. Because sometimes you find yourself feeling like you have to do things that aren't you to get where you want to go. I think that's a great indicator that that's not where you want to go, because you will never compromise yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Mm. Girl, you was just dropping bars like this whole conversation. I'm living. Everybody in the chat is too. Like,
Oh man.
preach. Oh my God. Yes. Like, I really feel like I've gained so much in just this like short conversation with you. And kind of similarly how we were talking earlier, like you just fit years worth of effort and achievement and fear and moving past fear in an hour worth of conversation. And I am so, so grateful. As we wrap up here, we still have a couple minutes. So if y'all have any more questions, please do drop it in. Oh, look,
Yeah, of course. And listen, I know some people don't want to drop it in here too. I put my socials, and I think Polly and the BWP team had put my socials on there as well. Please feel free to reach out. If not now, maybe later. I get that too,
that part.
Yeah. But no, thank you, Chrissy. Thank you for being such an amazing moderator. It's always such a great thing to have a conversation with somebody who just knows how to steer it so well.
Oh, thank you so much. Coming from the host.
Girl, it takes one to know one. You know what I mean? Like, it does. But beyond that, I just want you all to take a moment, everyone on this chat today, take a moment to love on yourself, compliment yourself, look in the mirror, talk to yourself. That's another thing. Talk to yourself, like in the mirror. Like that's how you get to know yourself, is the reflection. Fall in love with that person. Do something nice for yourself, and then do something nice for someone else. I think, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been a really hard year emotionally, like for me, and really I think for the whole world, and really especially if you live in the US, because the media. And this is why like photography is important, because those of you who do have a lens have legitimate so much power to tell stories. You know what I mean? And you can choose which stories you're going to tell, and you can choose what kind of content that you're going to put out there, because right now there's a lot that's hurting us and draining us, and but you have so much power behind that camera. Use it. But just take some time too, like maybe take a picture of somebody, you know what I mean, and like gift it to them. Like photos are so powerful, so powerful and valuable, you know what I mean, right now. So whether you're a photographer, whatever you create, create with a purpose. Create with a purpose, and then share with someone, and love on somebody else today too. Call a family member, call somebody you haven't spoken to in a while, and give good vibes. That's truly one of the gifts that keeps on giving. So with that being said, thank you so much for y'all for tuning in to the first session of BWP Summit. Thank you, BWP. Thank you, Polly. Thank you for all the sponsors that make this possible, man. Money. Yes, Adobe Photoshop Lightroom. That support should not go without being said. Like brand partners are such assets. Getty Images, thank you. You know what I mean? Thank y'all for believing in my girl and supporting the Black women photographers movement. So I'm looking to work with some of y'all too. So hey, DM me. Let's work.
Okay. We got a couple people in the chat saying they finna DM you. So be
do
on the list.
Do that.
Yes, thank you so much, Ivy. Like it really was a joy. I feel like you're the perfect person to like open up the day with and open up the weekend with. So I really am grateful. But yes, a reminder, please do use the hashtag BWP Summit on your Twitter and your IG stories, because you could win a free Adobe Creative Cloud suite, like all of the apps, y'all, for free.
Expensive. That's expensive, okay?
How expensive? That's a $636 value for the free. Like, come on. Or you could also win 1 year of Adobe photography plan, which is Lightroom and Photoshop together. That is $120 value for free. So make sure y'all use that hashtag. Make sure you also tag Black women photographers when you do it, so we can find you and you can be entered in the giveaway.
Can I come before I head up out of here? Because I feel like I talked about giving, right, and I think I wanna keep this thing going. So in honor of my girl Polly, now this might be a little unfair. I ain't gonna lie to you because you kind of might need to be my locale to make this happen. But hey, that just means it was somebody's blessing, and then yours is coming too. But
right. What you got for the people?
Right, if you're in the Dallas area, I will. If you, I don't know. Let me see how we can do this. Tweet a takeaway from today, something that I mentioned, and use the hashtag, and I will find somebody, maybe 2 people, and I will find somebody to come with me to shoot content at a Dallas Wings game this season, and I'll take a photographer with me to shoot content at a Dallas Mavericks game when the upcoming season starts. So I think we to go on the gram, tweet some takeaways. You can use your own words. It don't matter. Tag me, though. You have to tag me at Ivy Awino. You have to use the hashtag BWP Summit. I want to keep some things shaking over here. So,
all right, y'all heard it. Come on. See what I say at the top of the show. Gifts. Like, we are always dropping gems and giving away something here. Like, that's what being a part of this collective is about. So if you in Dallas, look, Joanna in Dallas. If you in Dallas, make sure you tag Ivy when you post on Twitter or your IG stories and use the hashtag so she can find you, because she got some gifts for you. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Ivy.
Awesome. All right. I'm about to run to Kiani's graduation.
There you go. Yes. And congratulations to Kiani, and congratulations to you. I'm so happy for you and all your success. Thank you so much, y'all. We about to jump into the next conversation in just a couple minutes. So let's slide on over.
Peace. God bless y'all.
Bye.